Welcome everybody. We've got 23 attendees at the moment and lots more to join, we hope. This session hosted by WISH Midlands, and we're really happy to welcome Hayley Gillard, who has done a session for WISH Midlands before, and we got such super feedback that we've now invited her back in lockdown virtually. So I'm not going to say much more. I'm Lynn Clayton, co-chair of WISH Midlands. We'll maybe, if we've got some time at the end, we'll have a chat about membership and people that may enjoy the session and then wish are interested in joining WISH. We'd love to see you as members. So how the session will run is Hayley is going to host the session. It's quite interactive, so do use your chat and your Q&A boxes. We will try and pick up what you're saying along as we go, and there'll hopefully be some time at the end for questions. So over to Rose just to say a few words about herself, and then over to Hayley.
Great, thanks Lynn. So hi everyone, my name's Rose Klemper and I'm co-chair of WISH Midlands alongside Lynn as well. In my day-to-day job I'm a solicitor working with social housing providers, specialising in governance and regulatory matters. I'm going to hand over to Hayley quite quickly because she's got a presentation to go through. I'll be keeping an eye on the Q&A as we go through and pick that up at the end as well.
Perfect, sounds good. Alrighty, so okay, first of all I just need to say I hate the word presentation. And I actually hate PowerPoint, and I'm so sorry that this has to be a PowerPoint. Anybody who has kind of watched any of my stuff before, or if I've done any training at your company or whatever, you'll know that I'm actually quite anti-PowerPoint, but needs must with lockdown, so I'm going to share my screen and share a PowerPoint, but please forgive me, and I promise you it's not one of those ones where you have to read all the words on the screen, and there isn't about 50 different slides. Don't worry, it should be good. So I am going to share my screen, and in a second, you should, if you find the right thing, you should see that. So, yeah, Rosa's, I was going to call you Ross, I'm so sorry, my husband's called Ross, so if that happens, that's why. Fab, okay, I think you can all see that. The only issue that I have tech-wise is that now I can't see the chat box, but I really want to encourage you to use it. So I think Rose will just keep coming in and unmuting herself to kind of feedback at various intervals throughout this. And what I'm also going to do is just press the timer on my phone, because there's nothing worse when somebody starts rambling for ages, is there? I've been in that audience myself. All right, cool. So hi everyone, I'm Hayley Gillard, and this is How to Lead with Confidence. I'm really, really excited to be here, albeit on the hottest day of the year. And I do really, really appreciate those of you who have been able to make it live. I'm somebody who's really used to doing interactive workshops. I do a lot of training. Most of my work is one-to-one coaching, so it's really interactive. So actually to kind of just talk a presentation at you feels slightly strange, but I'm really glad the chat box does exist. So please do use that. Please kind of comment along as we go, and there's also a Q&A box if you have specific questions about anything that I'm talking about, or anything to do with my work in general, or how your own leadership or your own confidence challenges might kind of be relevant to what we're talking about. You can use the Q&A box and we'll come to that bit at the end. So I'm very excited to be here, and I'm also really excited to be back. So thank you to WISH Midlands for inviting me back again. What a big compliment. So I do really appreciate it. It would be good to know actually in the chat box how many people have watched something or been coached by me or come across my work previously, either through work or personally. Can we just get a bit of a yeah, me, or no, who the hell is she? I've never heard of her. That would be good. And it's a shame I can't see it happening live. So Rose, give me a bit of a check-in.
There are no complete newbies. Janine's named me.
Can
you hear me now?
But... Can you
hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Janine said yes, she's worked with you before. I think everyone else is saying complete newbie here too. No, haven't. But yeah, so Janine, I think's the only one saying me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but great to see you for the first time.
I feel like that's good because there's not loads of pressure. You know, like if people have seen you before, they expect it to be better. But hey, let's go straight into it. You are going to need pen and paper for this. So if you want to really quickly run and grab something, I do quite like, as I said, the whole interactive thing. I want to try and make it so that this webinar, that you have something to take away, rather than, I don't know, you will have all heard those kind of stats about how much information you actually take in on a training course. And so by making it active and taking notes, or I'm happy to send you this presentation if you want, but if you kind of write your own notes, you become active in your own learning, and it's just a bit of a better experience. There's also a couple of kind of activities that you will need a pen and some paper for. So run, grab, quick. I'm going to put these pretty pictures on whilst you're all doing that. So obviously I've got to do a little bit of, well, who the hell am I? I don't like reading out the professional bio. And Lynn said at the beginning, do you want me to introduce you? And I was like, oh no, it's that kind of, oh, I've got this degree and I've worked for this many years in this place. Actually, this is me. You can see me on screen. So the top left photo where I'm sort of giving a presentation with the yellow wall, that's sort of me in an official basis, I suppose. That's the kind of me that you're getting today. So I run a leadership consultancy called Supercharged Leadership, but the rest of it is me as well. I'm a big believer that humans are definitely multifaceted. So these are all the different versions of me. You can probably tell I'm pretty outdoorsy. I love hiking, I love traveling, practice yoga, I grow my own veg, bit of a family person. So that photo of my wedding, that's my mum and dad and my sister, is actually the best photo of my wedding. We don't have any good ones of me and my husband, which is a bit of a shame, but I love that photo. Very close to my family, and then that's my husband at the top there with my 2 dogs. And I also run another business. The photo at the bottom where we're all around the campfire, I run an outdoor, well, it's outdoor and online, wellbeing retreats, events for women who are either experiencing poor mental health, or they want more connection with other women who are going through similar stuff. So that's that photo at the bottom there. So that's me. If you want the official bio, you can look on my LinkedIn. I will tell you a little bit about what I do, but those photos kind of best represent who's sitting here talking to you now. Why have I got a consultancy called Supercharged Leadership? Well, I really care, and I'm on a bit of a mission really, that so many women I come across play small, or they minimise their strengths, or they kind of I don't know, it's that play small, hold themselves back, don't get out there and try and achieve their goals and their mission. And it's because they believe that they're not confident enough, or that they believe, you know, who are they to do this, or they feel kind of imposter syndrome, or perfectionism holds them back, or that kind of thing. And so I'm on a bit of a mission really. I call my business Supercharged Leadership, because I just believe that we all have this I don't know, power within us, and actually that's there in you already. You might just need somebody to show you that it's there, show you what your skills are, encourage you, empower you, hold your hand along the way, you know, pick you up when you're crying, or kick your butt out the door and to make you do something. So I kind of set this up because I believe that too many women are holding themselves back, and I mean that in terms of work. So my business has shifted and changed, and the kind of transition has gone from that bottom picture, which was completely what I did, through to an environment where I recognise that actually this is, even if you're somebody with a degree, even with a doctorate, in fact it's quite prevalent in people with doctorates, even if you're somebody really educated, really qualified, you've worked in your field for years and years, actually this feeling of I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm not confident enough, it's actually still there. So I kind of deliberately split my brands almost to those sort of 2 angles. And the way that I support people to ultimately feel confident is through a kind of 3-pronged approach. And I use this 3-pronged approach in everything that I do. So whether you are doing one-to-one coaching with me, whether you're watching a webinar like this, whether you are doing a full year-long leadership program with me, there's 3 sort of sections to the way that I teach, for want of a better word. And those 3 sections are reflection, and you can write this down if this is kind of talking to you. But in order to feel confident, it's about reflection, it's about understanding, and then it's about taking action. So we're going to go through those sort of 3 phases during this presentation today. And I sort of do that through blending, this is the more official bit, I suppose, through blending coaching skills, counselling skills, elements of psychotherapy, although I'm not a trained psychotherapist. I blend all sorts of different kind of communication skills, leadership management stuff, and I'm a trainee psychologist. So I kind of feel like I've got a bit of a smorgasbord of skills that I bring to help you reflect, understand, and then take action to feel more confident, whether that's in your leadership or just generally in your life. Hopefully that makes sense. So what that looks like practically is webinars like this, although, albeit I must say not very often. I tend to do more in-person stuff, so that will be one-to-one or group coaching, like that little picture up there. It might be small, kind of helping people feel confident about a work challenge or overcome a kind of work issue or a problem or a staffing issue, that kind of thing, through to full programs delivering leadership development training, essentially. So if as we go through, if you're interested in any of this stuff, if it's kind of sparking the first point, the reflection bit in you, and it's making you go, yeah, I want to take this journey a bit further, my contact details are in the middle there. You can just pick up the phone, you can email me. My website's that second bit of the email address, hayleygillard.com. As we go along, I'm more than happy to kind of chat through any of that stuff. And at this point, if this was a proper training course and not a webinar, I would say, and I want you to do this in the comments, I would say, let me know your name and where you are. But what I really, really want from you is to start the reflection process. So I just want, and some people find this really easy and some people find this really hard. Learning to be confident isn't necessarily an easy process. So I'm putting it out there to you. I just want one word to describe how you feel right now. And you're not allowed to use the word hot because I'm having that one. So in the comments, one word to describe how you feel right now, and just your name and where you are. That would be really good. I'm used to lots of interaction, lots of comments, lots of kind of people shouting out from the audience, so go for it.
We've got someone from Bristol saying they feel a bit overwhelmed at the moment.
Yeah.
Janine Birmingham saying she feels a bit scared at the moment. There's someone feeling calm, some people are feeling a bit lost.
Yeah.
Chloe North Lincolnshire is feeling challenged. Nicola in Cheshire unsettled. London feeling stressed. Amy in Teesside is busy. Jasmine King says she's feeling inspired, but exhausted, anxious, confused and stressed, excited. Catherine Sinclair says she's feeling excited because she's hearing the intro to this webinar, which sounds really useful. Busy, out of sorts, excited, frustrated, inadequate, engaged, out of sorts again, stretched, disconnected. Lots of busy. There's quite a few busies coming through. That's
so interesting, isn't it? What a mixture of feelings going on there. And I think there's so much going on in the world, isn't there? I'm not going to go down the let's talk about coronavirus route, but that's having such a massive impact. It's dramatically changed my business. Obviously all the in-person stuff has just gone overnight. But it's meaning I'm spending all day on Zoom doing coaching, and I'm having to look at how I'm diversifying my income and all that sort of stuff. But I think, I'm pregnant at the moment. I don't actually have kids yet, but just that empathy towards people who are homeschooling and with the weather as well. It's all just, I can
say congratulations, Hayley. That is lovely news.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. I shouldn't stand up, I've got a massive bump under here. Thank you. So yeah, okay, all sorts of feelings going on there. I hope that this hour-ish will provide a bit of respite. Hopefully it will provide a bit of inspiration. I hope it will kind of empower you a little bit to want to do something about how you feel. And I say that lightly, and I say it lightly deliberately, because sometimes actually it's really important to feel those negative feelings. They often get labelled negative. I say them with air quotes deliberately, because quite often we sort of say, oh, I feel stressed and that's bad, or I feel busy and that's bad. But actually they're just feelings. It's how we attach emotions to those feelings that allow us to cope with them. So thank you for sharing that. I do really appreciate it. And as I say, feel free to kind of put dedicated questions about what I'm talking about in the Q&A bit, and feel free to keep using the chat box as we go along. Alrighty, so let's get stuck in. What is confidence? Before we talk about what confident leadership is, we kind of need to go backwards a bit to what actually is confidence. Let's talk about it in general a little bit. When I'm talking about confidence, it's so subjective. It really means something different to everybody. You know, what I believe confidence to be, or a confident person to be, might be completely different to what Lynn believes a confident person to be, or Rose, or anybody else watching. So you have to kind of know, well, what does confidence mean to you, and where do you want to go on your confidence journey in order to even start the process? You're all listening and watching this because you want to learn more about confidence, and specifically confident leadership. But actually, you know, let's give an example. I might say that a confident person, in fact, I'm going to tell you what I think a confident person is, legitimately. I think a confident person is somebody that's comfortable in their own skin, is kind of unapologetically themselves. I don't mean that in a obnoxious way, but I think a confident person, it's that, I don't know how to describe it other than comfortable in their own skin, just that kind of they're resilient to what life throws at them. They know their own strengths. They know that sometimes life deals you a bit of a rubbish card as well, but that they can get through that. They understand the support networks and the support tools that they have that they can lean on, and so there is this element of, I haven't got to get through this myself no matter what. Actually, it's okay to not be okay and to lean on other people. That is what confidence looks like to me. Whenever I've asked this kind of in a big, more of like a seminar environment, I get people to write it on post-it notes and bring them up to the front. And if you came to the WISH Midlands one, I think I would have got you to do that. But people quite often say, oh, it's body language comes up all the time. So that kind of shoulders back, head held high, that kind of, you can strut into a room, confidence. Let us know in the comments what confidence means to you. And I bet it will all be, you get all sorts of answers. Some people say like Beyonce, or oh gosh, there's such a broad range. Bright clothes, bright colours, that sort of dressing to suit your style, that often comes up. People who are happy, open, smiley faces, that kind of ability to just be friendly to people, relaxed, that those kinds of words come up. What does confidence mean to you? Let's start that conversation, because it's really, really different.
So people have said so far, think of it as trust in yourself.
Nice.
Strong, being comfortable with yourself and your abilities. Knowledge, standing tall and speaking up. Belief, not worried about what life throws at you, and you're able to take on any challenges. Strength again. Authenticity, that's got a good one.
Good word, yeah.
Not afraid to speak your mind. Wholehearted, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
Ability to try new things. Honesty, knowing when you're right and admitting when you're wrong.
Lovely.
Open to change and trusting yourself. Ability to be yourself. Strong again. Someone said it's an aura. Ability to be vulnerable.
That's
so it's really nice, yeah, nice points.
Really nice, yeah, absolutely. What I want to do then is, with your piece of paper and pen, I want to do a little activity. This is a coaching technique, and it just gets you to that first piece that I was talking about in terms of my 3 sections. It helps you to reflect. So what I want you to do is, first of all, just get a piece of paper. It can be a scrap paper, it can be a piece of paper in a journal, doesn't really matter. I want you to draw a circle. And let me explain what I mean first. So I want you to draw a circle somewhere on the page, it doesn't matter where, that represents where you are right now in terms of your confidence. So I'm going to deliberately keep this vague, because I often get questions like, well, how big? Where should it go? To the left, to the right, up, down? But I'm deliberately sort of letting you decide. So a circle that represents where you are right now in terms of your confidence journey. I'm going to sort of give it 10 seconds. I want it to be a kind of off the cuff. Just go for it. Don't think too much about it. Just draw a circle that represents you in terms of your confidence right now. And this could be a little bit emotive. And I'm not apologising for that, because this is about reflection, and often confidence is really, really linked to a lot of stuff, a lot of baggage. I want you to write down 3 words that circle represents. So there were some really good comments that came up earlier when I said, give me 1 word to describe how you feel. Somebody said lost, stressed, busy, you know, any of those sorts of words. Again, I'm not going to give you too much because I want you to deliberately reflect yourself, but 3 words that circle represents. Okay. And then what I want to do as well on the same page is to draw another circle that represents you in the future you, the confident you, the you that is expressing and feeling internally all of that confident, you know, whatever that means to you, whatever confidence means to you, a circle that represents you living that life. What does that circle look like? And again, I'm not gonna guide you with what it should look like, because it's very deliberately open. So you should have 2 circles, and then I want you to add 3 words for the second circle, the future you circle. So what 3 words would you be embodying if you were now at that place where that circle is? And when you're done, can you write done in the comments? And once we get about 15 rows, can you just give me a thumbs up or something? Fab. All right, brilliant. Well done. It can often, you know, if this was a one-to-one coaching scenario, I would be going into more detail about this, you know, kind of explain to me a little bit more then about some of the reasons you're not confident, or how your life would change if you were, or how your life's being held back by the fact you're not confident. I would kind of dig a lot deeper. Obviously, we can't do this in this situation, but what you have there is your first little takeaway in terms of, you now know your goal. You know what your confidence target is, your aim is, and that, in terms of my 3 sections, so reflection, understanding, and taking action, you've done that reflecting. You have to know, you know, like if you want to drive to, I don't know, Scotland, somewhere in Scotland, if I said to you now you need to drive to Inverness, nobody gets in the car without a sat nav or a map or kind of planning the route. You might be able to roughly work it out, and that's, you know, that's fine, but actually the most direct, efficient way only happens when you know where you're actually going. If I said to you, get in the car and drive, and you didn't know that you had to go to Inverness, how would you know whether to even go north or south? So you kind of have to define the end results, I suppose, to know, first of all, what does confident mean to you, but also how will you know you've even got there? How will you know when one day you wake up and now you are confident? And I also can just say that bar will move. But you now have that's your kind of first takeaway bit in terms of what your confidence goal is. All right, this slide is probably the one most important slide in my whole presentation, and if you take anything at all from this, I just want you to read that 2 sentences. So the biggest, bestest, most important secret ever that nobody tells you when you're growing up, you don't learn this at school, is that you're allowed to learn to be confident. It's not innate, it's not in your DNA, it's not something that you're either born with or you're not. It's not kind of only kind of reserved for a special few people who are born with it. Actually, everybody, every single person on the planet can learn to be confident. Learning is what makes you a human being. You know, we all spend all day, every day, getting out there and understanding the world and putting parts of the world into our consciousness and forming different ideas about things. And learning is something that makes you a human being. So I really, really want to try and put my point across here that you're not born confident. So you can't really use that as an excuse anymore. Like, oh, well, I'm just not a confident person. If you genuinely want to get to that second circle, and you know, not everybody will, there are some people who kind of go, life's dealt me a load of rubbish, I don't want to change it. Sure, it's probably not the webinar for you. But if you genuinely want to get to that second circle, you really need to know that you're not born confident. It's not in your DNA. It's not something you have or you don't have. It is a skill you can learn. And I've deliberately underlined everybody, because it's not a skill that some of us can learn. It's a skill that even you, and I'm saying it deliberately looking at the camera, even you, if you believe in science, this is it. It's a skill that everybody can learn. Everybody can learn to be confident. So you get to choose how you learn to be confident. You get to choose the things that make you not confident. You get to choose the things that add to your confidence. Yes, there will absolutely be things that have impacted on how confident you feel about certain situations now. There will be absolutely things that, I don't know, typically I'm thinking kind of bullying or the influence of a parent on us. Perhaps a parent said, you can't do this, you're not good enough, don't even try. There will be lots of things, and we'll talk about this in more detail in a second. There will be lots of things that have gone on in your life that make you believe that you're not confident. But the trick is you can change the belief. You can absolutely change the belief. And you can change the belief by learning how to be confident. All right? So what I actually want you to do, I want you to take a photo. Get your phone out, take a photo of this slide. In fact, if I like, maybe I should do this for a second while you're taking a picture. But take a photo, because I really, really, really want you to remember the sentiment of this slide. If you take anything from this webinar, it is this. If you want to tag me, please feel free. If you want to tag WISH as well, please do. Put it on Instagram, put it on LinkedIn, put it everywhere. This is like going to change your life. This changed my life. So if you have, we don't have time for the whole story, but I have lots of things in my past that have led to me not being a confident person. I have, experienced some really horrible stuff that could really quite easily and did derail me. And, I've had all sorts of therapy and treatment, and I was not born confident. But actually, you can choose that. One day you can decide, you know what, enough of not feeling confident. Actually, this second circle that I drew, that circle is achievable because I can learn it. Everybody can learn to be confident. So the two circles, we would go into more detail about this if this was a one-to-one or even a group coaching session. Just reflect, because generally the second circle, not always, but people will either draw it higher up, or they'll draw it bigger, or it'll have more impact on the page, or the words will be more positive. I haven't yet, I'm willing to be proven wrong, but I haven't yet come across someone that has the same circle as they are now. I've never met anybody. I teach this stuff, and my second circle is not, yeah, I'm confident. There's always more, there's always further you want to go with it. But you have that kind of roadmap now. How you learn, we'll talk about. That's kind of what that process is to get you from there to there. We'll talk about. But you have that kind of knowledge now of, this is where I am, this is where I want to be. And actually, because of this slide, that is now available to me. I can learn that. Whatever that journey is, we don't know yet, and that's okay. But I can learn to take myself on that journey. All right. So that's the reflection part. We're going to move into the understanding kind of section now. And this really is about self-awareness and self-acceptance, and looking at, what it says on the screen. Why are you not confident? There will be tame the dragon. And I think that's a really nice way of kind of saying, there are all these dragons in our lives that stop us being confident, but it's almost like as soon as we turn around and we say, oh, that's the name of that dragon, we can then do something about it. So perhaps you had, and as I say this will trigger things in people's memory, but perhaps you believe it's bad to be confident. So you're not confident because actually, thinking of those sayings like, oh, who does she think she is? Look at her goody two shoes. You don't want to blow your own trumpet. All of these sayings that we will have probably come across or been told ourselves personally even, that actually being confident is being cocky. being assertive actually means being aggressive. Redefine it, redefine what confidence actually means. And I quite often will get people say, oh, it's more about self-confidence, isn't it? And that's absolutely right. I think when I say confident, there is a distinction between that sort of, it's actually really unattractive, isn't it? That kind of overbearing, loud, obnoxious. They would say they're confident, but actually confidence to me is about that internal, it's almost like a peace, isn't it? Like that self-confidence, that self-acceptance, that self-awareness. That's what I'm aiming at. So I'm not saying that in order to be confident you have to be obnoxious, but whatever confidence means to you, confidence actually can mean being quiet and not kind of a loud mouth. But you will have been told, oh, that loudmouth person over there, you don't want to be like her. And we kind of assimilate these words with confidence, don't we? And in actually not a very I don't know what the word is, not a very accurate way. So perhaps we're worried that if we're confident and if we make these changes to our lives, that people won't like us anymore, that maybe our relationship will suffer. Maybe you are worried that if you go on a journey of personal development, you'll change so much that your friends won't recognize you anymore, or that your partner won't love that version of you. A lot of the people I work with are worried about personal growth because they actually really believe that they want to get there to that second circle, but actually that will have to mean shedding some of the stuff that is holding them back from doing that. And that's painful. I'm not saying that this journey is easy, you know, it is painful, but I think, you know, as I'm talking, you might even be kind of conjuring up a person in your head. Maybe it was your mum or a teacher or an ex-partner or your current partner, so that somebody will be there, kind of the person that you're connecting this to. Don't worry if it's not, it could just have seeped in through popular culture or whatever, but you will all have different reasons why you're not confident. And again, I can't kind of personally go into this with each of you because this is a webinar, but if you want to continue this conversation, we can absolutely do that through coaching. But it's your job to reframe what confidence means to you. If that just means putting the word self and a dash in front of it and calling it self-confidence, that's fine. If you want to reframe confidence as inner peace or as being assertive, if the word confidence, if you don't like the word, change the word. And what I want to get you to do now is a bit of a it's an activity. I'm laughing because it's quite powerful. What I want you to do, I'm not going to describe it, I'm just going to go straight into asking you to do it. I want you to write a list of all of the things that you tell yourself about who you are as an individual. So let me explain that. So we will all have this inner self-talk, this inner dialogue that goes, you're not good enough, you can't do that, who are you, you're not qualified enough, they're going to think you're stupid, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're uneducated, can you see where I'm going? We all have this stuff that goes on in our head. So grab a piece of paper, and what I want you to do, and I'm literally going to, let me just look at the clock, for 2 minutes, so I want it to be quick, I want you to just list, as it comes out of your head, without filter, just get it all out, all of that stuff that you believe, or that people say to you, or that they have said to you in the past, that makes you stay small, that stops you being self-confident, that second circle. I'm gonna go quiet in a second for 2 minutes to let you do that. Some people really struggle with this and they don't know where to begin. So I would suggest starting with I'm not good enough, because quite often I'm not good enough is the root, and it then goes in whatever angle you take it. So I'm going to be quiet for 2 minutes now. Don't worry if this is way too much reflection and it's way too, you know, maybe you're not in the right frame of mind for this. We can always do this in a one-to-one session. So I'm going to be quiet and I'll just give you 2 minutes to do that. Just get it all out of your head, all the negative stuff. You've only had 30 seconds, and I wonder how many things you've managed to do in just 30 seconds. Keep going. Get it all out, keep going. One that comes up a lot is I'm rubbish with money. Maybe that'll send you all off on a tangent. Lynn just put a hand up. 30 seconds left. All right, so put your pen down. I want you to stop now beating yourself up. Even if you haven't finished, stop. Please stop. Okay, so just have a look back at that list, and the chances are it's really horrible. It's really, like, actually really horrible stuff. If you imagine, and I actually do this to people, it's really, really awkward. I quite often, if it's a one-to-one session, get people to read the list out to me as though they are saying it to me. So if the list says, you're not good enough, you're ugly, you can't do this, I get them to say it, looking in my eyes, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you're rubbish with money, you're never going to achieve anything. And by the act of saying it out loud and almost saying it to somebody else as though they're kind of really hurtful words, makes you realise, in fact, two things happen. Either people go, I can't say it, I can't be that horrible to you, or it makes you realise how powerful that stuff is that we tell ourselves. And that stuff has been put there partially by you, but potentially by lots of other people as well. But they are our beliefs, and these are the things that are stopping you, like what it says on the screen, they're stopping you from reaching that second circle. So this is powerful, this is emotional. If this has brought up a lot of feeling for you, then it just shows that you're already working through this stuff. Be compassionate with yourself. It's not, this confidence is not easy work. But what I want you to do, actually, in order to get to that second circle, we have to be willing to learn. So I'm telling you that, you know, learning is how you get there, and you're not born confident, you have to learn to be confident. But you also have to be willing to be confident. And what I mean by that is you have to be willing to learn. That means you have to be willing to let go of what your previous idea was of who you are. And so I literally want you to rip that page out of your journal, or if it's a scrap piece of paper or whatever, I want you to rip it up. I literally want you to rip it up. And when you do it, feel how powerful that is to go, no, do you know what? This does not serve me anymore. I'm not being this person. I'm going to start the journey. Even if this is the very first step, I'm going to start that journey towards that second circle. I'm not being this person anymore. Rip it up. And it's all right to cry. Should have probably caveated this at the beginning, shouldn't I? Yes. Rose, let's see, did you just rip it? Yes. Look at that. Excellent, Lynn. Love it. Well done. That's brilliant. Fabulous. And what I want you to do, whether there's a bin around you now or you need to do it afterwards, I want you to actually put it in the bin as well. Get rid of it, put it in the recycling, get it out of your house. That stuff is not you anymore. All right? It's powerful, deliberately. Okay. So this rather complicated diagram will explain why some of that stuff on that list existed in the first place. So this is called your frame of reference. It's a counselling tool. The source of who kind of created it is at the bottom there if you're interested. So all of that stuff on that piece of paper is all as a result of stuff that is in your past. And you can see kind of in these different circles, all of these different things will make a difference to who you are. I'm actually looking at that now, and because of the Black Lives Matter movement, feeling like we might need to add some more of that to it as well. Potentially that could come into cultural influences, but there will be lots of things, you know, gender, as a feminist, as somebody who empowers women to be confident, we're just gender equality will have an influence. Your age, how many of you believed that it wasn't until you were a certain age that you could be credible at work? Different things to do with work, so whether you got a promotion or not, whether you went for an interview or not, whether a colleague got paid more to do the same job than you. I'm not going to go through all of these, but there's massive things in your past. Go right back to early childhood, how your parents looked after you, whether you had a private education or a state education, or maybe hardly any education, whether you went to university or not, the area you grew up in, whether your parents owned their house. This isn't a conversation about privilege versus not privilege. This is a conversation about how whatever is in your past, regardless, shapes who you are today. I have a lot of people who come from a privileged place who feel that they don't deserve to have these issues because of their privilege, but actually it's all relative. Whatever you're dealing with right now is relative to whatever is in your past. And actually, that stuff is not your fault. All that stuff behind all this stuff on this diagram is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to now do something about the scars it's left you with. So all of this stuff here, the dark blue, the light blue, the kind of peachy colour, all of that stuff frames this central circle, your window on the world. That's the way that you look out into interactions that you have with colleagues, the way that you, different things that annoy you about the world, the people that you love, the people that you don't particularly like. All of that stuff is framed by your background. And even your window on yourself, so the way you view yourself and the way that you channel that into your interactions with people. And I'm kind of applying this in a work context now. All of that stuff is absolutely framed by your background. So think about it. If you're nervous to have a conversation with a member of staff, let's say a performance issue, and you're nervous to have a conversation with a member of staff, think about why you're nervous. What is it that's pressing on? What is it from these circles that's kind of being brought into your current interaction? Why is it that perhaps you're a bit rubbish with boundaries? Why is it, do you think, that you're terrified of public speaking? Why is it that addressing the board is such a massive, massive deal for you? I could come up with 50,000 different questions. The answer is because something in this frame of reference, in your view of the world, is being just pulled on, triggered. So it's kind of a habitual thinking, or it's framing and influencing the way that you're feeling about a situation. So by knowing that this is not your fault, this stuff was not your fault, but it is your responsibility, again, just puts the, this is not the right saying, but puts the shoes back on your feet. Do you know what I mean? I can't think what the saying is. Puts the ball back in your court, whatever analogy you want to use. It kind of allows you to stop going, oh, I'm nervous because this happened in my past. And it allows you to start going, well, that happened in my past and it makes me nervous, but I'm not going to let it stop me. That's the difference. And so what you have to start doing then is healing this, letting go of some of this stuff that has held you back. It's demanding confidence. It's ripping up that previous story that you were telling yourself. It might be therapy, it might be coaching, it might be some, reading some personal development books. It might be that you go on a TED Talk mission and you get lost in YouTube and you start, really getting into particular personal development people. It might be that you hire me. It might be whatever you do something about it, because if you're not confident and you're being held back at work, particularly to relate this to leadership, if you're being held back by something, don't let that stop you. Learn to be confident in that area of your life. And again, I'm not saying that's easy. It's not easy to heal past childhood trauma. Of course it isn't. But it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to do something with that now. I almost imagine it like a timeline. If this is now, all of this stuff on the screen is your past. You can't do much about that now because it's the past. Even if it was your fault at the time, you can't do anything about it now, so it's gone. But actually, this is your future, and you get to choose. And you get to decide how much of that gets to come with you or not. And yeah, you might need some professional support. I absolutely needed some professional support to get there, but it's possible. It's completely possible. I hope that diagram makes sense in that context. Okay, so I've got let me just do a quick time check. Okay, this kind of webinar is about leading with confidence. In order to lead with confidence, we have to kind of acknowledge what leadership is, I think. I'm actually just going to plug this in one sec. We have to acknowledge what leadership is. Leadership isn't just being a good manager. So quite often people will want, and I can absolutely teach you how to be a good manager, but actually you can read a book about management. You can read a book about how to conduct a good one-to-one. There's loads of training courses about how to be a good manager. Leadership is something different. And I'm really interested to know what leadership means to you. And again, this is really different. So there's no wrong or right answer. You don't have to kind of be worried that you're going to get it wrong. It's the same with confidence. It's completely subjective. But what does leadership mean to you? Let's have another comment. This was me commenting. Another little comment collection.
We've got the word inspiring, being a role model, being a sense of your own purpose, guidance, supporting people, quite a few people saying inspire, ability to influence and engage,
nice,
visionary, authenticity, empowerment, direction, not scared to make decisions, knowledgeable, respected and inspiring.
You guys are amazing.
Integrity,
nice.
Buy-in from your teams and trust from your team. Fighting in the ring alongside others rather than commentating from the sidelines.
Love it.
Yeah, so some good comments.
Brilliant. They're amazing. Really, really. Oh, you've nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it. There isn't any of them that I would think, oh, I don't think it's that. Absolutely not. And again, I could share with you what leadership means to me, but it will be different for everybody. So I think the theme that's kind of come out of that actually is about, I love the word role models. I think the trust, the integrity, the authenticity. Compare that to what it means to be confident. Kind of the same thing. So in order to be a good leader, and a good leader will naturally be a good manager. So if you're coming at this thinking this was management tips, they are one and the same thing. I'm not going to teach you to be a good manager in this webinar, but leadership, essentially it's about people trusting you. How can people trust you if you're not showing them the real version of you? I couldn't trust somebody if I couldn't read the real version of them. And if you're not showing them the real version of you because you're scared of what people will think of you if you do show that, there's all of this mismatch going on and everybody just gets it's a bit incongruent, isn't it? People get a bit confused. In order to inspire someone, you kind of have to be all right with knowing that you can be an inspirer, or you have to be okay with being open and honest. And this really is about being confident. So you will have all of that frame of reference, all of that stuff in your past will have framed your personality, and you will have core values and beliefs and things that you stand up for and personality traits. And all of that stuff makes you you. But to be a good leader, to be a confident leader, you have to show that. And I'm not talking boundaries, and I don't mean this in terms of you have to be the same with your husband that you are with your colleagues. That's not what I mean. It's integrity in a relevant context. But actually, I'm somebody who's pretty hyperactive. I'm somebody who likes to talk. I'm an extrovert. I have very deliberately chosen this image as my background. It's a bit of a splatter. My company is called Supercharged Leadership. What I'm trying to do is show who I am as an individual in my branding, in the way that I present. It would be incongruent and inauthentic if I wasn't. So confidence and leadership go absolutely hand in hand. And feel free to take a photo of this, and I'm more than happy to send my slides around if you want, but this is Confident Leadership 101. So I'm going to absolutely whiz through this, but essentially to be a good leader, you have to have confidence. And there are a few ways that you can not leapfrog, you can kind of fast forward or fast track you starting to portray that. I'm a really big believer in fake it till you make it. There are lots of people who don't, but what I mean by that is not in an inauthentic way, but in a way to yourself that actually if you start, let's pick one on there. Lots of people, number 5, lots of people worry about saying no. It makes people really nervous. So start small, start saying no. And eventually just start, literally just start, fake it, feel uncomfortable, feel unconfident, absolutely be terrified, but say it anyway. And then I guarantee you'll learn that actually you'll rewire your brain that actually saying no isn't that bad because you've just done it. The dress to impress one, what I mean by that is dress to feel like you. So I don't mean that you have to look a certain way to be confident. What I mean is you have to look like you to feel confident. So be you unapologetically. If you don't know who you are, if you don't understand what your core values are, you're not sure about your belief, things have rocked the boat a little bit, work it out. Coaching's brilliant for that. But show up as you unapologetically. And what I mean by that is it's okay to disagree with people. It's okay to respectfully say no. You know, I think it's really important that, I'm thinking like in lockdown, there's lots of people kind of going, oh God, there's loads of like family pub quizzes and I'm Zooming all my family. Like I'm on Zoom all day doing stuff like this, but then in the evening people want to, it's okay to say no and say, do you know what, I need just some time on my own, those kinds of things. Self-acceptance, remember you're human. I've put that one on there because actually a big part of self-acceptance is knowing that sometimes you get it wrong and that that's okay. And yes, I absolutely teach confidence and I work with people all day, every day and help them to be confident. Are there things that I'm not confident in? Absolutely. Of course there are, because I'm a human being and I'm still here learning and it's a forever journey. But I'm much further down the line than I used to be. I think empowering others is massive. And so I really want to just talk about this one. So this is kind of 3 and 4 together. We are social creatures. We are, if you look at our evolution throughout history, we are social creatures. We need other people to, literally ensure the survival of the human race. We need other people to make us feel good. We also need time alone, but we need other people in order to function as a society in a happy way. When you, as does everybody else, when you lead or manage, I'm going to use them interchangeably in this perspective. When you lead or manage in a way that makes somebody disempowered, so you're beating them with a stick rather than encouraging them with a carrot, if you lead in that way, you're making that person not feel connected to other human beings and other society, right? You're almost ostracizing that person and kicking them out of feeling safe and comfortable and happy. That is like absolute human nature. So all of this whole, there was a bit, I mean, it's really out of date and old fashioned now, but a lot of people used to manage by very top down, very, this is the way it's done. If you don't do it, you'll get the sack or you'll be performance managed out. You hear a lot of it. And unfortunately, I'm going to say, there are some really big companies that you would have heard of. I've just realised that this is publicly going on YouTube, so I'm not actually going to say the name of the company, but there are big companies who metaphorically beat you up if you don't hit your targets. And so guess what that does? That just makes people terrified and scared and not connected. If you can do the opposite, if you can empower people, and this is much more of a modern way of leadership, if you can ask people's opinions, encourage them, reward them when they've done things well, then you're absolutely going to learn that leadership in that style works, and you will get the feedback because those people will be empowered. You will get the feedback that you're a good leader. It kind of works like if you can empower other people, they'll go, okay, I feel safe, I'm gonna work hard for this company or this person, I respect them, I empower them. And you're gonna then not have a team that's unmotivated and not very connected. We haven't got time to kind of go through all of this, but to just point out number 9, learn. Let this just be the start. I can't possibly, like I do full year programs of confident leadership, I can't possibly fit it into 45 minutes, but just do something. So what you have in front of you is a circle where you are now and a circle where you want to be. I'm telling you that the process to get to that bigger circle is to learn. You have just done that very, very first piece of the reflection puzzle. But what you need to do is go on this mission of reflecting more, really understanding what's holding you back, working out, number 1, who you are, learning how to self-accept, and then go watch TED Talks about how to empower other people. Go and look at what role models you have. Learn to affirm positive stuff to you. So instead of that stuff that you ripped up, start telling yourself positive things. Dress in a way that makes you feel good. There's a real reason I'm wearing red lipstick. It makes me feel good. I'm wearing a colour that suits me. Like it's not, I've very deliberately done it very deliberately. But what I'm going to do is we'll go through Q&A in just 2 seconds. And if there's anything within here that's making you go, I have this leadership challenge right now, obviously maintaining confidentiality, or I have this thing that I'm struggling with, or how would you approach this situation? If you have those kinds of things, put them in the Q&A. I can see we've got a few already. If you have a question about leadership styles or what works or what doesn't, or I don't know what I would do in that scenario, then please do put them in the Q&A. But I want to just say number 9 again, that this is a learning journey. This is just the beginning. And what's amazing is that you have the rest of your life to do this. You can start being confident from today if you learn how, right? How cool is that? So I think for some reason, my next slide has gone. Where is it? One sec. There it is. So now what? Okay, now what? Take the next step. So if that involves learning more and you think I can help, then absolutely get in touch. There's a few different pictures on there. So that's obviously one-to-one coaching. That photo in the middle was taken at WISH Midlands. So that's me kind of giving talks. If you think that this would work in your company, absolutely. The bottom one is kind of small group coaching sessions. Sometimes that's with senior management team or particular departments. We can come in and do stuff like that. If you kind of want to get in touch, the next slide's got my contact details in it. We can just have a chat on the phone and we can just see if it's something that would work for you. This can work kind of in a variety of ways, but all I want to say is whatever you do, even if I'm not involved, do something to start the process. Don't just sort of sit and watch this for an hour and go, okay, great, that was a nice lunchtime, thanks, and do nothing. Like, let this be the beginning. That's the coach in me, making sure that we do number 3, take action. Like, do something about it. Don't let this just sort of sit there and go out of your mind again. In terms of if you want this to be more formal, lots of people have training budgets, lots of people, you can ask in your one-to-one for this stuff. I'm more than happy to chat to people's managers about whether this is relevant or whatever. And if I also have lots of people who pay for this themselves, we can work out paying for things in instalments and all that kind of stuff. I'm totally flexible. But that is that. I do have a link, which I will put in the chat box, which is a really practical thing. It's 10 books that have helped me be more confident. So if you want the link, I'm more than happy to share. It's too long to put on the screen and get you all to write it down, so I'll share the link in the comments. But if your next step is not coaching or a webinar or something kind of really, that's quite a time commitment and a financial commitment. If you kind of go, I want to get a book off Amazon, or what's the first TED talk, then I would say I'm going to click the link, I'm going to share my book list with you, and just start by reading a book, and get in touch and say, I've read this book, it was great, what else can you recommend, what TED talks can you recommend? Let's start the conversation. I really encourage you to keep in touch. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and so I can open the chat and put the link in. Let's see if this is still there. Paste. Magic. There it is. That's the link to, it says there, Hayley's top 10 books. So I think, we're back. I think we're back. Cool.
That was great. Thanks, Hayley. I think we've got quite a few questions in the Q&A bit.
Yeah.
So if you try and take a few now, I'm conscious of time, so if anyone can't hang on for the Q&A session, that's fine. But we'll try and answer a few now if we can. Can you see them, Hayley?
Oh, I can now, yeah. Yeah. Cool. Right, I'll just start at the top then. Hey, Nicola, can Hayley say something at some stage about whether women in particular worry about not being liked? Yeah, as in women and men. I don't mean like if they're in, yeah. Yes, is my opinion. So I get asked all the time, why don't you do this for men? So I do it for men when they're part of a team, but my one-to-one coaching specifically is for women. And it's just because I think we just, as women in 2020, we have so much pressure, and we partially made this for ourselves. So I'm absolutely the first person to be pro-equality, of course. But what we've done is said, right, ladies, you are expected to have a fabulous career and you're encouraged to do it. You are also still supposed to be a mum. You still have to, there is still that expectation that you need to be a fabulous parent. While you're doing that, by the way, you have to look amazing. You have to maintain your physical health. You have to, look like you've come out of a magazine all the time. You have to have an immaculate home. You can't, who would have thought you would ever have a messy home? I just showed everybody earlier, but look, just off screen, I'm a real human. We have so much pressure as women, even now, to share kind of a bit of a behind the scenes thing. So I'm pregnant currently, as I said. I'm doing lots of thinking about, well, what happens to my business then? I'm literally booking people in for January after the baby. My husband just takes 2 weeks off work and goes back to normal. And I'm thinking, well, can we afford a cleaner because I'm not going to have time to clean? It's not even crossing his mind. So yes, I think the short answer is yes. I'm not saying that the men don't have things that they also need to be supported and encouraged and helped to work through. There is a huge movement at the moment towards men's mental health support. It's just not my speciality, so I can't kind of comment on that any further than what I have. But I really see that we've almost created a rod for our own backs by saying, yeah, great, work full time, but by the way, you're not allowed to let go of any of the other stuff, that you still have to do all of that as well. Any tips for letting go of negative beliefs? Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a really good, if some of you may have heard of Tony Robbins. He's an American he stands up on stage and does that really like empowering positive talks. He's got a really good, let me get a piece of paper, he's got a really good model that he uses. It's called the belief table, and I'm going to literally draw it for you. So what you would do is put your piece of paper horizontal and draw a tabletop. So it's basically just a big rectangle at the top. And what I would say is, think of one negative belief first. There's often, there's loads of negative beliefs, but let's say pick one off your piece of paper that you ripped up. Let's choose a negative belief of I'm going to use the one that I gave as an example. I'm rubbish with money. So what you would do is, one sec, what you would do is in the tabletop, you would frame the belief in the opposite, so the positive. So I've wrote on there, I'm learning to be good with money. If I wrote on there, I'm great with money, it's too much of a leap. I can't make that connection really quickly. So by putting the word learning in there, you're kind of almost saying, I'm open to the opportunity of. So think of any belief that you have, frame it in the positive and write it in the tabletop. And it's called a belief table because what you then start doing is giving God, if I could draw this properly, you start giving the table legs. So excuse the artwork, but in each of the legs, what you then do is prove it. So some evidence that holds the tabletop up. So for example, I'm learning to be good with money. You might say, I signed up to a free webinar about savings accounts. Making this up off the top of my head. So that's like, yeah, I've done something to say I'm learning to be better with money. You might say, I've set up a direct debit to pay off my credit card, £20 a month. So I'll put that in another one. So each leg is some sort of evidence to hold up the belief. And so you just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And what you do at the end is you kind of acknowledge, all right, well, my negative belief was I'm rubbish with money. So out loud, if you can do it in the mirror, even better, because you've got mirror neurons that pick it up as though somebody else is saying it to you. It's even more powerful. Go, I'm learning to be good with money because I signed up for a free webinar about savings accounts. I've set up a direct debit to pay £20 off my credit card every month. I'm monitoring my spending. I've stopped my daily cup of coffee on the way to work. I've whatever. And you read it out and it becomes a real, you're just switching that belief. It's really about filters. So that frame of reference, and to answer the second question about age not holding you back, that is holding you back because of your frame of reference. So you have a connection or a belief somewhere that age is an issue. So it's about getting out there and changing your perspective on age actually being an issue. So I'm actually not going to, I'm very deliberately not going to say that age does hold you back. That's just a belief. I don't believe it does hold you back. I think there are lots and lots of social and cultural influences that make us believe it's holding you back. So I'm not dismissing what you say. I mean, look at media, and there's so many actresses, isn't there, that say they never get a part after they're age 35. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but that's all part of your frame of reference. It's up to you to get out there and almost change the angle. Does that make sense? How do you recover from a knock to your confidence at work, and how do you as a young person appear confident without looking overconfident? That's a really good sort of double question there. I think how do you recover from a knock to your confidence at work? It is completely subjective to whatever happened and however you deal with it. So I'm not going to say the way to get over it is to get back up on 2 feet and, pull your backpack on and get on with it. Like, that might not work for you. For some people, actually, they need to be told, just get on with it, get back out there and succeed again. You don't need to wallow in it. Some people, they need to heal from it. They need to talk about their experiences. They might need to put in a complaint. It will be really, really different depending on who you are as an individual. But what I would say is, by asking that question, you're already saying, look, this happened. You're doing the reflective bit. You now need to ask yourself, how do I need to recover from this? And if that's getting angry, get angry. If that's getting upset, get upset. And then say, okay, I'm doing this so that I process it, because actually the third part, taking action, means I'm going to get back on my game at work. So it's that kind of, it's almost like honouring that you need to process it, and that's okay. However you need to process it is okay. And then how, as a young person, do you appear confident? This is where role models come in. So what I would say to anybody, regardless of age, is look at who you admire that comes across as confident, whether that is a celebrity, somebody that, you know, an Instagram person, somebody you know in real life, a boss that you already have, a colleague, a parent, whoever it is. Look at those people and try and almost label what it is that makes them feel confident to you. Do you want me to just keep going with the comments? How are we for time? Or are we just kind of saying people just log off as and when, or what do you want me to do?
We've still got about 5 more left. We're over on time. Are you happy to answer a couple more, and then
yeah,
any others then?
Yeah, I'm not in a rush.
Give all the information so you can connect with her on Twitter, LinkedIn, email, phone. She's offered all those things. But so yeah, maybe a couple more, and then we'll close, I think, after that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Any advice when how to deal with staffing attitudes towards your age and experience as a leader if you lack confidence? I'm smiling because I can so empathise. I've also had that experience. Be humble. That would be my first one. So if there are people, I'm assuming you saying that as a young person, but only because my experience, my frame of reference is I had that as a young person. That might not be accurate, but I think what I would say is there will be always, regardless of your age, there will always be people with more experience than you that potentially could even do the job better than you. And what I would say is empower them, that they have knowledge that you could learn from. So instead of going in there as the confident version, it's the self-confident versus kind of obnoxious. Instead of going in there like, I can deal with this, I'm a leader, I'm the one that's got the management job, or I'm the one that's supposed to be leading on this project. Instead of kind of going in with it like, this is about me, go in with it from a collective leadership approach, which is a type of leadership which is about, okay, what strengths have we got around the table? How do we play to those people's strengths? And you have strengths in as many areas as other people. You have your own set of values and beliefs and personality traits that you bring to it as a leader. But actually, there will be lots of people that you can lean on. And by leaning on them, what you're doing is you're validating that their experience matters to you, rather than kind of trying to be in competition with it, I suppose. Be humble when you don't know. And I think as well, it's also, there does have to be a line where you sometimes have to pull rank. And again, we're talking management now rather than leadership. But I think there is occasions where you might feel uncomfortable, but you have to stick with a decision, explain your decision. Hopefully that decision has been made for genuine reasons, and it might upset people. And that's part of being a leader. It's that kind of understanding that the emotions that are in the room, and being humble enough to acknowledge those emotions and deal with them. I hope that made sense. I also have a little thing where I say, I hope that makes sense at the end of things. I find it really difficult when I can't get people's facial expressions, or, you know, like body language nodding along, which makes me, that kind of goes to my confidence. So I'm just going to say it again, I hope that did make sense, and hopefully you're nodding and saying thanks, and you know, it works. Okay, how would you retain confidence and leadership around a team member who constantly tries to undermine you and cause you trouble? Oh, that's a tough one. Acknowledge that the reason they're trying to undermine you and cause trouble is because of something in their frame of reference. So you have your core values, your beliefs, your experiences, and they have theirs. yours are right for you and theirs are right for them, and we can try and empower people, but we can't change why people feel the way they feel. And so, you know, sometimes when you hear people say like, oh, they're being nasty to you because they're hurting themselves, or I'm trying to think of some examples. People say like, well, just that, you know, often bullies are people who've been bullied themselves. It's that sort of, they will have something in their experience, either somebody that used to undermine them, and so they're copying learnt behaviour, and they have no idea they're copying learnt behaviour because they're not that self-aware, so they're just doing it anyway. Some people have a personality type, to be honest, I'm a little bit like this, where I quite like chaos, and I quite quite like debate in a healthy, respectful way, but some people actually, I wouldn't say that I was this person, but some people like causing trouble for entertainment reasons. And I think, how to answer your question, how would I retain confidence, is by knowing that they are who they are and you are who you are, and the way that you are acting is right for you. I could talk about this one forever. I'm going to move to the next one just because of the time, but I could really talk about that for a long time. A lot of people who do one-to-one coaching with me do one-to-one coaching either because their staff are not motivated, or because there is someone or a few people in their team that are causing issues. So yeah, I'm going to leave that one there, but it's, yeah, good question. How to balance carrot reward approach to leadership with seeming weak because you never use the stick. Love it. This, I'm going to come across as weak if I'm nice, is a massive topic. I do whole training courses on this. So you will have, and it's, I'm going to generalize, but it's typically a generational thing, that like my nan's generation, she's not at work anymore, but my nan's generation very much looked to, you had a boss, you did what the boss said, you had to, it was that kind of war mentality, keep calm and carry on, just do what people say. They have that belief in the medical system, so, you know, if a doctor has said it, then it's true. Whereas I'm 34 now, I was at school very much encouraged to ask if you don't understand a question. We were encouraged to challenge. We had a debating team at school, you know, that just even generationally, you will get people, and I've had clients who staff have said to them, you need to be a bit stricter with that person. It's up to you. If you are not somebody who naturally wants to lead by telling people what to do, then you don't need to worry about other people thinking you're weak. What you need to do, instead of balancing carrot and reward with a stick, what you need to do is show those people that actually using the carrot approach is not weak. So it's kind of, instead of trying to persuade them instead of trying to balance telling them what to do versus the carrot, people are going to get confused because they won't know what your leadership style is. You kind of need to say, do you know what, I'm a carrot person, and I'm going to prove to you that actually this works. And there's loads and loads of, if you put in compassionate leadership, collective leadership into Google, you'll get some really good, even just literally how to empower a team member without using a stick or just Google will be your best friend for that one. There's loads and loads of research in different leadership styles, and then being effective. And I think that's the trick for that one. Show people that actually the carrot is effective rather than trying to balance the two. How can you show other people that you are ready for being a leader if they haven't yet given you that opportunity? Just start. So I think let's separate being a leader from a job title or a particular responsibility, and let's say in a team meeting, be the person that speaks up, volunteer for stuff. I think maintain personal boundaries. So I'm not saying volunteer for everything because you have to prove yourself, but it is about expressing, it's showing up authentically. It's being open to take on new challenges. It's standing up when you got something wrong. It's kind of start the process now, even if you haven't got the job title or the opportunity or the responsibility yet. Just start being it. I don't think a leader is, you can have a 6-year-old that's a leader, you know, and you could argue they haven't been given the opportunity, but I don't think leadership is about needing an opportunity. I think it's about carving the opportunities. I feel like they've grown, these these questions, but we're good. I think your tip about saying no actually is an important place to start with the first question. It is not possible to have it all and do everything to a high standard all of the time. Absolutely. Be a perfect career woman, mum, friend, sister, daughter. Exactly. We've been told women can have it all. Priorities will vary for all of us at different times of our life. And the moment we accept that it's okay and drop attempts at perfection, the more we will thrive. Can we just give Catherine Sinclair a standing ovation for that, please? Because hell yes. Like, yes. I couldn't agree more. Completely. I'm not sure there was a question in there, but yes, you have my full support with that comment. Should imposter syndrome disappear when your confidence grows? That's a really good one. Yes and no, which is, I feel like I'm giving a lot of sort of caveated answers. It will depend on whether you've addressed why you have imposter syndrome. So if your imposter syndrome is, for anybody who doesn't know, imposter syndrome is about believing you're going to get found out, or you don't have the skills, or who am I to be doing this? Oh my God, they're going to soon work out. You know, I've got, and you can quite often say, well, I've got a degree, I've got 15 years experience, I've worked with this amount of people, but I'm still scared that they're going to work out that I'm not legitimate. It depends whether you've worked on the root cause or whether you're faking it till you make it. So if you're someone who, I give talks about confidence, right? Do I feel confident right now? Yeah, completely. Like, no part of me feels nervous, because I have addressed my belief that, I believe that I am good enough to deliver this talk. And I can, with the belief table, I can give you all the evidence why I believe that. However, if you put me into a situation where I was giving this talk to a group of psychologists, my imposter syndrome would absolutely come back. So I think it is about, and the reason my imposter syndrome would come back is because I am still working on the stuff in my past that made me believe that I'm not good enough. I'm still working on it. It's been years of therapy, and that's okay. And like I said earlier, I'm a human, I'm fallible. I'm not going to pretend to you that confidence is this thing that you suddenly, overnight, you just suddenly, because you've read 3 books, you're confident now. Not at all. So I think it depends on scenarios, and I'm sorry that that's another depend answer, but you know, if any of you said, could you come to my workplace and deliver a similar webinar? Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I would not feel confident. But if it was a group of psychologists, because I'm a trainee psychologist, because I'm talking about the way the brain processes confidence, and I feel like they're like an actual psychologist, then my imposter syndrome would come back. But then it's about, okay, so can I step out my comfort zone and play to their strengths and ask them what they think, and let's turn this into more of a collaborative training. There's different ways you can get around it. All right, last one. Try to be confident, but then there are people that take my legs from underneath me before I've even got started. How do you come back from it? Those lovely people, right? I come at this from a few different perspectives. So the first one would be cut them out of your life, if it's that simple. So if they are people who are constantly, I don't know, there's a really great saying, I can't remember who it's from now off the top of my head, but it's, we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So are the 5 people you spend the most time with, are they people who promote you, cheerlead you, celebrate with you, praise you? Are they people who challenge you as well, but are they people who do that in a positive way because they're interested in your growth rather than holding you back? So the first thing is look at who you're spending most time with, and can you do something to change that? And then I'm going to use a technique to help you answer this. It's the 4 options. So whenever you're facing a challenge, and this is relevant for any challenge you're facing, not just the one in the comments, Natalie, is you've got 4 options, right, to deal with the challenge. The first one is change yourself. So change in your example, change yourself. I'll tell you them all first. So change yourself, change the situation, put up and shut up, or piss off. So the first one, change yourself. That's change how you're dealing with it. Change your mindset. Change whether it bothers you or not. Decide choose from a mindset perspective something that you can do that you change it yourself. some of these will feel like, yeah, you could do that. Some of them you'll be like, no, there's no way I can do that. It's not an option. But the point is that by working on these 4 options, you can decide which one feels best. So that's change yourself. The second one is change the situation. So that's kind of what I was just talking about in terms of, can you remove them from your life? If it's a work situation, is there, can you address this with them? Can you do something about the situation that that changes it and therefore removes the issue? So change yourself, change the situation, put up and shut up. So this is a really empowering one. That is, do nothing, do absolutely nothing, but you have to stop moaning about it. It has to stop affecting you. It has to stop being an issue. That's kind of the deal. It's like, if let's say that there's something going on at work that is just some person that's really bothering you. You could choose to do nothing, but then you need to stop going home to your partner moaning about it. Like, that's the deal. That's the put up with it, but shut up about it as well, because you owe it to yourself to then move past it. And then the 4th one's piss off. And so that's usually quite dramatic, although sometimes this is the answer. So that one is, sorry if that is an offensive term. I swear a lot, be you, unapologetically. But the 4th one is about, quit your job, leave your partner, go and travel around the world, do something to just get out of the situation then. So not all of those will work. One of those might feel better than others. You might think, oh, it's out of that one or that one, but it puts you back in the driving seat of solving the challenge. And I think that's it, questions wise. So I'm going to just close that question box. In the comments, you're welcome. Amazing. If you scroll up, you'll see the link to the books. I'm going to just pop that back in, so it's at the end as well there. You're all absolutely welcome. It's such a strange thing to not be interacting with you. So if you want to do this in real life, we can. And I really appreciate all of the chat, all of the questions. And thanks to you guys for having me as well, Wish. It's really been great.
I think to start with, thank you, Hayley. That was so good. Oh. It's nice to end the sort of session feeling quite positive about the future at the moment, I think. So it was really, really good. And a massive thank you for your time and for staying longer to answer all those questions. They're really good questions as well. I've put in the comments a sort of link to the WISH website if you want to find out more about future webinars, and also membership options if you want to join. And also all of Hayley's details were available on the slides, but she's on Twitter, she's on LinkedIn, so you can find if you want to connect with her about anything at all. Yeah, so thank you so much everyone for joining. It's been really good and really positive, I think, for everyone.